Hey guys, it's Doom and I'm back with the second video in this series. The premise is still the same. You post on my blog with a question or a topic and I'll address it in video form. The blog is still open if you want to ask questions for the third or fourth video. I will provide the link in an annotation and in the description for the video. So the first question is from Ether, who's from New Jersey, and he writes in, give a brief explanation of what you'd like to see in Super Smash Bros. 4. I think I'd like to see a nice mix between Melee and Brawl to appeal to the already existent competitive Smash scene. Brawl's fluid motion and the Brawl air dodge system are the two things I'd really like to see from that game. And maybe the recovery system. I think auto sweet spotting is a little too easy mode, but it might be necessary depending on how strong some characters are. And from Melee, wave dashing should come back, I feel. It's a really powerful movement option on the ground, but with Brawl's air dodge system that's impossible, so maybe there would be some kind of new command for that. Either way, it's a really good addition. And there needs to be more hit stun and shield stun than there is in Brawl. Maybe not quite as much as Melee, but definitely increased. It's very difficult to combo, it's very difficult to pressure shields without getting punished, so that's something that we need to bring back. You don't get enough reward for one hit in Brawl, but you might get a little bit too much in Melee. Something new that I'd like to see from Smash 4, because I really don't want just a rehash or a compromise between the two games. I'd like to see a meter system with potential for things like EX moves. You fill up your gauge, and you can spend a bar of it using a more powerful or changed properties version of one of your moves. Maybe super combos. Fill up the bar entirely, or maybe one of a few bars, and you have access to a super special awesome move. We already have this in Smash with Final Smashes, except instead of breaking the randomly appearing Smash Ball, you would have full control over this, so it would be, reflective of skill. And something that I thought of while arguing with Wes and Dyer on Facebook about the legality of items in Smash, I thought maybe the meter system could allow you to spawn items. That would be really cool. It's definitely creative. We were talking about how the worst characters in Brawl are pretty good at using items. It kind of balances out the tier list a bit. So I feel like characters with weak fundamentals could become better through strong EX moves or super combos, or maybe spawning items that they're really good with using. I know Ganondorf in Brawl is actually pretty lethal with some items. So if the developers recognize, oh, a character like Mario has bad range and a so-so projectile, let's give him really good EX moves and really good supers, and he can spawn good items, or he builds meter very well. I think that's a really powerful aspect of the game and adds a lot of depth. Base from New Hampshire writes in, who is your least favorite character, Nintendo character, and why? I'm going to have to go with Yoshi or Diddy Kong. I think the noises that they make are absolutely infuriating, and they're just generally pretty lame characters. And I don't like monkeys either, so Diddy Kong has a pretty bad disadvantage. Bleachigo from New Jersey asks, what are you hoping for from the Melee and Brawl communities with the release of the new Smash game? There's a clear line between who plays each game. And do you think the new Smash will replace the older games or what? And why are you so hot and free? To address the first part of that question, I'm hoping that everyone gives Smash 4 a shot to begin with. I think the Brawl players will be more willing to play the new game. I believe somewhere Sakurai stated that Brawl is the base engine for the game, at least in some regards. He's basing it off of Brawl. So Melee players might be a little hesitant to start. But yeah, I'm just hoping everyone gives it a shot. When Brawl came out, all the Melee players tried it out, and some stayed, some didn't. And some new people came. So I'm really hoping for the same dynamic from Smash 4, except maybe keeping some of the Melee players, maybe keeping a lot of them. That's why I said a nice compromise between the two games would be really great. Do I think the new Smash game will replace the older games? Not necessarily. I think Brawl will eventually die because of Smash 4. We've just shown to be a more willing to move on kind of community. Melee has proven that, the game is 10 years old and people still play it in tournaments fervently. There's no way that game is going to die instantly, and it's going to take a really impressive title to come out and just stomp Melee out. So I think Brawl will die, at least for the most part. Melee will still be a big side event or a big co-event at large tournaments. A lot of tournaments are going to run Smash 4 alongside Brawl and Melee for a while, especially while the game's not out in America. And why am I so hot and free? Genetics. I was born free. King Beef from Ohio writes in, the Midwest is often referenced as the absolute worst region in Brawl, yet it has produced a decent amount of skilled players for unique characters that can even contend with some of the best the East Coast has to offer. What is your opinion of Midwest, its players, its difference in culture, if I've ever visited, and why isn't Florida considered the worst region? Yes, the Midwest has definitely put out some really talented players, particularly Shugo, Lane, Judge, Hunger. I mean, the list goes on. There are a lot of great players in the Midwest. It also encompasses like 20 states. And Midwest itself is split up into Midwest West and Midwest East, just because it's such a massive region geography-wise. I think the problem with Midwest is that since it's so large and spread out, its players don't really get to play with each other too much unless they're in really isolated communities like the Springfield guys from Ohio. They always got to play together, but how often are you going to see Lane playing with Kane, for example? They're just a couple states away, and it's a really far distance, not something that often happens. It also forces a lot of their good players to play on Wi-Fi to get better, which can kind of hurt their progress. Culture-wise, I have no idea. I've never been there. I do understand that after tournaments, you guys have kind of a different idea than the East Coast does. You guys go clubbing a lot. We just kind of be nerds and go to Red Robin because we have a lot of young players. Why isn't Florida considered the worst region in Brawl? They have a lot of talented players in a smaller area. Really, really talented players. Like Esam is easily top 10 in the country. Seabrick had his time where he was easily top 10 in the country. Then you have people like Nick Riddle, MVD, and even the unranked players in Florida are pretty scary. Inouye from New Jersey asks why DM Brandon and I made a 180-degree turn so suddenly regarding Meta Knight's legality, especially being from a state in which Meta Knight is fairly popular. Yeah, New Jersey is very Meta Knight-centric, and I can't speak for DM Brandon, but as far as my stance on the ban has gone, at first I thought it would be a great idea to keep him legal, because it's unfair to ban somebody's character, and he's really not that bad. He's beatable. But Meta Knight just got progressively harder and harder to deal with. New strategies came out that had to be banned. We had to ban stages because of him. People were considering getting rid of Brinstar and Rainbow Cruise. I just really thought it wasn't good for the metagame to keep him around. He was too over-centralizing, too harmful to the growth of the game, and definitely very harmful to hype, but that's not the biggest reason. Just aside. Zebra from Kansas asks, with Meta Knight gone, do I think it'll affect Wario's placement on the tier list? Especially because DDD will rise up. And teams, Wario is really good in teams, so Meta Knight being gone, probably the only character better than Wario in teams. I think in singles, Wario is just going to kind of stay the same. He'll be that almost top tier guy, but not quite. He has a hard time with a lot of characters, Marth, Falco, and DDD. All three of them bound to get more popular with Meta Knight gone. He still loses to like the Ice Climbers. He's probably not in favor in the Diddy matchup, but he's a good character, and he's just going to kind of hover in that area. As far as teams goes, I think he'll definitely be dominant. Game & Watch and Wario are really scary, especially with Meta Knight gone. And a lot of players who previously played Meta Knight will probably end up switching to Wario, at least for teams. I know Tyrant and Inouye both have Warios. Shadow has a Wario, really good Wario. And these are all people who would play Meta Knight normally. So that's definitely a good thing for that character. I feel like he definitely will grow in reputation. But as far as getting better goes, I'm not sure. He will definitely develop, though. Definitely will develop a little more. Vinny from New York asks me to list the top 3 USA regions and who I think will get top 8 at Apex. I think the best 3 regions in the US right now are Southern California, New York, New Jersey, and maybe Texas, maybe Florida. I don't know. The third is honestly very hard to call. But SoCal and New Jersey and New York are very clearly on top. SoCal is probably the best region right now. They have a lot of really strong players. Their top 6 or so are like unfathomably good. New Jersey and New York, we have a lot of great players. Not so many top-notch amazing players like they have, but we're really good overall. We have Anti, Dabuz, Vinny, Atomisk, ADHD. So I guess we kind of do match them, and we might be better overall. But either way, they're very close, and I don't want to speak with too much regional bias. But SoCal and NJNY are on top, with either Texas or Florida below them. Top 8 for Apex. I think we're going to see, for sure, in the top 8, the following 5 players. Larry, DEHF, Mewtwo King, Ally, Anti, and Tyrant, if Anti decides to enter, that is. These players are very strong. We saw 3 of them in the top 5 at Apex 2010. And Anti and Tyrant, just really strong players. Anti has come a long way in the year and a half since Apex 2010. I think we also have, for the other few slots, Esam, Vinny, Dabuz, Brood, Nietano, Rain, Otori, Kakara, and ADHD, too. ADHD didn't even go to 2010, so who knows how he's going to do. He has been playing less and less, but he's still nonetheless a really strong American player. The Japanese players are probably going to do pretty well. Rain made top 8 at Apex 2010. Brood infamously got second. The Japanese had kind of a shaky showing at Genesis 2, but who knows? Could be better. I think they'll definitely be bringing it back strong. I know they're playing a lot of Apex rule set tournaments in Japan now to prepare for this because they don't use our stage list. Raffi X from Massachusetts asks, will I be getting the next Super Smash Bros. And play it competitively? If so, which character do I want to be added and removed? I am definitely getting Smash 4. I will have a Wii U on pre-order and absolutely getting a copy of Smash 4 as soon as it comes out. In fact, DM Brandon and I already have a $100 money match scheduled when the game drops. We're each going to take half of the cast and play an Iron Man style money match where we just do a self-crew battle essentially with every character. Which characters do I want added and removed? I don't want any characters to go out of the game. I would really not like to see them do that. I feel like since the Wii U is going to be a much more powerful system than the Wii, there's no excuse for them to remove content that was in Brawl. And added characters, Vaati, King K. Rool, more Pokemon maybe. I'd like to see maybe some more third-party characters. Mega Man would be really cool. Maybe a Final Fantasy or Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger, rather, character. I don't know. Just something random and obscure would be really cool from the third-party section. Sonic and Snake should stay, in my opinion. There's no reason to take anything out. Just more villains in general, I'd like to see. I think villains are cool. They're horribly misrepresented in Brawl. We only have, like Bowser and Ganon. Either way, definitely would like to see more characters. I don't care if the game has like 65 characters. It's awesome to have 65 characters. Alright, so now on to the more off-topic questions. We have Fandango X from Venezuela asking if I've ever read Homestuck. If so, what do I think of it? If not, why? I've never read Homestuck, though Dazwa, who I definitely respect the opinion of, reads Homestuck and says it's very good, always tells me to read it. I have not read it because Dazwa also says it's a massive time sink, and I don't have that much time. I'm a pretty busy college student. Any time that I can use freely, I'm going to spend sleeping because I'm up all night. But yeah, Homestuck, I'm definitely open to checking that out. Bionic from Maryland asks what I think of Occupy Wall Street. I think this is a great question. Without wasting too much time, I'm just going to say that I definitely support the Occupy movement. I live in New York City, so this is kind of a reality to me. I can go to Manhattan on a subway and be there in half an hour seeing people protesting on Wall Street. And I think that's really awesome. I think it is kind of unfair how the government has treated us financially compared to big corporations especially. Timer from Connecticut asks why My Little Pony is so addicting. I have no idea. Like I said to Bloodcross last time, not really sure, never seen it. Sphere from New Hampshire says that WWW is better than Juice. I respectfully disagree, my good sir. But we can be friends. WWW and Juice can just kind of coexist. I mean, Dazwa's in both. Decoy from New York asks how I feel about a video including Vegeta laughing at a bunch of Nameks from Dragon Ball Z. I don't really understand the context because I've never seen Dragon Ball Z. though apparently it's supposed to be fairly racist, that clip. I think it was kind of funny. It was just an awkward 27 seconds of laughing. Whatever. Zebra from Kansas asks why I hate the colon eye face so much. Uh, it's definitely not the best face. I think it's really just kind of, I don't know, it's a dumb fad and I think it needs to die. Itakio from Washington says League of Legends. League of Legends is an awesome game. I totally respect it. The stream viewership for that game is insane. The prize pool for MLG for that game was very, very large. Yeah, RTS games have my respect. I wish I knew more about them. I wish I played League of Legends. I'm definitely down to get into that. But I just have no time and a really bad internet connection. Kyle is real from Florida asks why I hate him. I don't even know you, so I can't hate you. I'm sorry. Jarvitz from Pennsylvania asks why I'm doing this video series. Partially to establish a personality for myself in the video logging world. Partially to extend the reach I have as an influence in the Smash community. Partially for fun. I think this is very enjoyable. I like to answer people's questions. I like to give my opinion on things. I guess I'm kind of an outspoken jerk, but whatever. This is fun and enjoyable. And our last question, we have Lobsterfest from Virginia asking who the most attractive male smasher I've met so far is. And I'm going to have to say that goes to